Hello everyone, this is Wasim and today we will learn about enum option type. So enum option type is provided by Rust to handle the null values. So why Rust provide this? To solve the issues like null pointer exception crash. So now let's move to code and we will learn about options there. So let's try to create a string and assign pointer null there. So I have created it and I will try to assign null. And if we try to run this, it will give a compilation error. It says that str, this statement was expecting a string, but we got option type. So here, none is a option type. It is not null type. Okay. So in order to fix this, we have to make this string as option. So we can do it by wrapping this string. And now you see this red line is gone. And if we compile, it is giving warning because we are not using str, but there is no compilation error. So whenever we make anything none, we have to make sure that value is wrapped by option enum. So why we wrap this? Why we wrap this string using option? The reason is once we wrap anything with option, we cannot directly access the value. In order to access the value, we have to extract the value from the option. What I mean to say that, like suppose we want to print this, we can suppose if we want to print this string, it will give an error. So it is trying to convert this str into a string, but it says that option cannot be formatted to a string. So in order to use this str, we have to do unwrapping or extracting of a string from the option. So one more catch is like if we directly unwrap here using this unwrap, and if unwrap causes a none value, then our program will crash. So if we run this statement, you will see a main thread got panicked. So we should never unwrap any option like this. Like if we want to unwrap, first we have to check whether the option is containing none or some value. So we can do that by using a helper function called isNone. And if it is none, then we will do something like we will print str is none. And we have to convert into a string. So I'll convert to a string. And in else case, we will unwrap. So this is a graceful way to unwrap anything if it is if our values is option. So now if we run this, we'll not get thread panic. So let me make it print ln. So we can see our output properly. So if you see str is none, so as this string is containing none, this part of code got executed, else got not executed. But suppose we want to assign some value into it, like hey option or hello option. So what we can do, hello option, and we have to convert into a string from string literal. So if you see red line appears here, because option can only take two types of values. If you see, it should be either none or some. So this is not none and this is of type string. So we have to make this to type option type sum. So what we will do, we will wrap this to sum to fix this issue. Now, if we run this, assume what will get printed. So in this case, hello option will get printed because this condition will be false and else side will be executed. Now, if you see, we have written this much line to print a simple message. We can shorten this by using some different unwrap variants. So what we can do, we can go for unwrap or. So what this unwrap or do, like we can pass some other value, like str is null or none. In Rust, we use none. So if we run this now, we see hello option because unwrap was successful. But if we make none, if we assign none to this option, then we'll get str is none. So another way to handle the unwrap panic is to use unwrap or default. So what it does, like compiler provides some default value of unwrap. So this is a string. So for string unwrapping, compiler will provide a default value. So if we run this, and unwrap will be unsuccessful, so compiler provide default value will be printed. So by compiler provide empty string if the unwrap fails. So unwrap or default is used when we do not want to assign any default value when unwrap fails, rather than we want compiler to handle this. Now there is another variant of unwrap is called unwrap else. So what does unwrap else do? You can pass a function or closure inside it. So here we have passed a closure which returns a string called str is none, right? This is a return statement of this closure. So if we run this, str is none get printed, but we can also use some functions in this closure. So let's create a function here, get string, and okay, we don't want option, we want a string to be written. So and let's write here str is none, and we can call this function get str. Okay, why there is a red line? Okay, so the sum is wrapped, it is wrapped with sum, so we do not want sum to be written from here. So now instead of this statement we can directly invoke that function called get str. Okay, just a minute. Okay, and if we run this, what it will do, like when unwrap will fail, it will go to this else statement and it will invoke this function which will return this str is none, and it will get printed. And if we provide some if unwrap will be successful, that function will be not invoked. So in this case that function will not be invoked. So let's recap what we have learned today. So we have learned about option type. Why option type? Because Rust do not provide us null value. Instead of that, Rust provide option, and whenever any variable which can hold null or none type should be option. So it is a smart way of handling null values. So is none is a function to check if that option is having none or some. So it returns true when none is there, none if that option is none, and false when if the option is having some value. This unwraps extracts the value from the option, but the catch is if we call unwrap on option which is containing none, it will cause our thread to panic. So we should always use is none and unwrap together. Like we have to check whether the value is none, then we have to unwrap. And these unwrap or else, and unwrap or default are the variations of unwrap. So in unwrap or we can provide some default value in the failure case. In unwrap or else we can call some functions from this else part, and that can provide value to the statement, like when unwraps fail. And unwrap or default, here compiler decide what to return when unwrapping fails. So I'm done here. See you in the next video.